Hello. This is a video, fourth in the series, I believe, and I'm just going to talk through some bits around triggers and waypoints that perhaps are useful when setting up missions, and just bits and pieces that you might want to know. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is how you can get troops in a cycle kind of waypoint pattern to do something else other than use it in Zeus and delete the waypoints and send them off to do something else. So an example of why I might want this is, let's say I've got a little patrol moving around this farm here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put down a sentry unit of 2 guys. There we go, and using the shift and right mouse button, I'm just going to give 4 waypoints around the thing and make the last one a cycle. Nice and straightforward. So they're just wandering around that building. But let's say, I don't know, if I go into that building, I want these guys to move down to this bend in the road. So I can set a waypoint like that, and you can see that the cycle is there, but then there's this waypoint branching out. What will happen if I just run that is these guys will walk around the building ad infinitum forever. They'll never get to this point over here. What we need to do is set it up using a trigger to say, actually ignore the cycle waypoint, we want to move past that block, if you like, and move to the end of the route. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that that is move on full, because I want them running there. This is really important for them to get there and in line, although there's only 2 of them, so it won't make much difference. And then I'm going to set this to be a limited and safe behavior, and we'll set that to be combat and open fire. So they're reacting to something and going off to find out what the enemy's doing. And obviously we could have this set up as an enemy patrol that's guarding something, and then when blue 4 players are present, they react and run out to find out what the hell's going on. So the next bit in the setting up is to use a trigger. It's a fairly small area, so I'm just going to use a 10 by 10. And I'm going to use the shift and rotate tool just to align it with the building, and then I'm going to hit the space bar, which changes the widget in use, and you can see the widgets up here. So we were on no widget, and I hit the space bar and it changed to the translation widget, and now we're in the rotation widget, and what I'm looking for is the sizing widget or area widget, and that gives me these little white bars, which if I move my mouse over them, you can see you can change the size of it top down, nice and straightforward, so you can make sure that you're in the area you want to be, and then hit it again and we're back to no widget. That's a really nice easy way of sizing triggers, markers, and other area things. Double click on it, and the type we want is a skip waypoint, which, as you can see from the tool tip, it says meant to work with a waypoint linked to the trigger using the set waypoint activation. Once activated, the trigger will force the waypoint to skip. So that's what we want it to do, but how do we want it to be activated? Well, we want a blue 4 present, and as usual we'll tick the server only. I'm playing this in single player, but it doesn't hurt to make yourself into the habit of using server side triggers only. And that means that when I go inside that building, into that area, it's going to trigger the waypoint, and then I'm going to right click on it like I did in the previous tutorial, set waypoint activation, and I'm setting it to the cycle waypoint. That cycle waypoint is kind of the master waypoint for these 4, and it knows that that exists, and so it'll never go on to do that one unless we do something about it. So if I play single player, probably picked the wrong map for this, it takes ages to load. What I'm trying to do these series is give you an idea of little things you can do to lessen the load and also mean that the AI reaction is more in line with what you want to do. So here we go, we can see the sentries are now walking. Nice path, and they'll turn left any minute now. There we go. So I'm just going to speed up, because obviously in single player you can speed time up with the plus and minus keys. So I'm going to go into speed 4, and they're going to walk around there, and then this way, and then this way. There we go. So what I'll do is I'll wait till they've passed that first waypoint and they're heading down past that shack, and then I'm going to go into the shack. And what you should see, if I've done this right, is that they will start legging it off up towards the corner of the road up there. So if I go in here now, you'll hear him say, and there you go. They're now in the combat mode that we set, and they're moving up that road. Nice and tactically, and so that's how you get them to move in relation to a player action and do something other than just wander aimlessly round in a circle. Right, so what you can also do with triggers is use them to control tasks. Now, not every mission we use in 3CB, certainly for private ops and mini ops and patrol ops, have tasks, but they are quite useful in framing the mission and giving the commander and the guys on the ground a very clear indication when they've accomplished something. So while they may not be necessarily 100% realistic, they do have the place in my view. So what you'll find under the F5 modules systems menu is Intel, and this allows you to create the tasks and set various things to them. So generally speaking, I will use create task to set something up. So let's stick it there, and we'll first of all select all playable units, which means it applies to everyone, and we'll call it task ID 1, and parent task ID will leave empty, because as it says, the task will have no parent and will be shown in the root. This is a hierarchy, so you can have multiple bits of tasks feed through in a kind of nested hierarchy, but for what I'm trying to show here, we don't need to do that. So it's going to be dead straightforward. Move here. Obviously that wouldn't be an objective that you'd set in a mission, but it could be. Destination, we'll leave it at the marker position, and you can change the icon that gets used to a whole range of different ones. Quite interesting, some of them, but we're just going to move there, so move, or the default was actually that marker, and we'll leave everything as it is. If I press play now, that task would be there, but we have no way of knowing that we've completed it. So we need to do two things. We need to set the task state, which we will set to succeeded if we move there. So I'm going to sync that to that task so that it knows what task we're talking about, and I'm going to set up a trigger, once again dead straightforward, 10 by 10, blue 4, present, server side only, click OK. Now if I move into that zone, that will complete that task. So create task over here. I'm going to shove a op4 survivor down because he's not nicely unarmed, means I won't kill myself when I run up to him, create task. Let's call it task ID 2, set that to all playable units, call it clear, and set task state. We'll have succeeded, and then a trigger. Let's go for 100 by. Oops. Yep. Change that to op4 not present, server only, and then sync them up. So sync to that, sync to that. Now if we play that, both the tasks will appear at the same time, and you'll be able to complete either of them first. Why does it take so long to load? So I'll just move down the road here, and we've completed that task. If we check here, you can see that task has disappeared from the map, but it's still in the task list, so you can see you've completed it. And the clear objective is the only one left on the map. Speed up and then forward. And there's the dude. Let's throw a grenade. He's run out of the zone anyway before I've killed him. Fine. We've done what we set out to do. The key here is that they weren't sequential. What we can do is we can set one of the tasks to be dependent on the next one. So if we set the first task trigger to the creation of the second task and play it, this time you'll only have one task available. And this is useful for steering the guys down a certain path. By all means, in your briefing you can say, you know, you're going to do this, then that, then the other, but then as they complete them they'll know that they're moving on down that direction or that track that you've laid out for them as the mission creator. So at the minute I've just got move, tasks, I've just got move, so let's move down there, and you can see the next task has been created, and then that task has been completed. Sadly, that's the order in which those things happen. There is a way around that, but it involves basically duplicating the triggers. So let's come over this brow of this hill. And shoot the guy. There we go. And there you can see task in succession.